Well, they're continuing that search. They say it will go on for days after they believe the oxygen may run out, just in the hope against hope that some may survive. Let's talk to another guest on this now. Guy joins us, Guy Zajonc. He is the Deep Ocean Project Manager for the Historic and Treasure Shipwrecks, and he has himself dived to the Titanic back in year 2000 as part of a mission with the Deep Ocean Expedition. Good morning to you, Guy.
Good morning.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Look, this race against time that we've been in since Sunday to try and rescue these 5 men, what hopes do you have that they can be found alive and brought to the surface?
I'm not sure I can add anything to all that's been said so far. I think what people are fearing is what I'm fearing also. In 2001, it was my pleasure to become shipmates with PH and Argelais. And we renewed
This
that,
is the French sub-pilot, Paul Henry.
Yes. Yeah. Paul Henry, we all called him PH,
yeah.
Was an amazing veteran of the deep. If you've been to a Titanic exhibit, most likely you've seen artifacts that were collected by PH during his time with Ephemer and the Nautil program. Yeah. I became part of the Deep Ocean Expedition company after working with them in 1998 with and the Russian Academy of Sciences Deep Submersible program. When we did our first project was the film and photographing of the Japanese submarine I-52 in 5,200 meters of water. That's 17,200 plus feet. So we were doing dives with the Russian Academy's twin mirrors. They had 2 submersibles, both capable of going to 6,000 meters. So in 2000 and then in 2000, I joined Deep Ocean Expeditions, and we were basically really pioneers of the tourist program to the Titanic. This was headed up by Mike McDowell, an Australian living in Germany. We were a very small team. But in 2001, we did the first manned dives on the battleship Bismarck, and that's when PH joined us.
Yeah, and so he's incredibly experienced. He knows what he's doing.
Really
and this
is.
would have been very reassuring to the tourists on board who paid $250,000. This is British billionaire Hamish Harding and right. the Pakistani businessman Shahzad Dawood and his son Suleiman. Because, you know, you've got the French subpilot PH, you've got Stockton Rush, the head of Ocean Gate Expeditions. Look, we're going down. This isn't our first mission. It's fine. But would you have not been put off by, you know, the design of this 21-foot sub, the fact that you had to sign a waiver which mentioned the word death 3 times? Would you not have been concerned about the lack of safety procedures for, look, okay, if this goes wrong, if we lose contact with the surface, you know, these weights are automatically jettisoned and we will shoot to the surface, or another sub was going to be available to come and collect us, or whatever. There doesn't seem to have been any safety procedure for if one thing goes wrong, that is catastrophic, it would appear.
Yes, well, my background is actually the law. I'm a recovering lawyer, as I tell people, but before I became an adventurer. But I also tell people that if I knew more, I'd probably be more frightened, but I don't have that engineering background. Most likely, I would place my trust very easily at PH. So I'm not sure I would necessarily be put off.
He's done this loads of times. He's done it in many different vehicles. I mean, we've spoken to some guests who've said, look, this is like NASA level in terms of sort of the innovation being involved. And if you looked at some of the first rockets that went into space, you know, not dissimilar. But the reality is, what happens in the air is actually, and on the surface of the Earth, is very regulated. There's an expectation now there'll be a lot more regulation on these deep sea emissions as a result of this. Do you think there should be?
Yes. Well, first of all, I would be reluctant to get anything that is not certified. And the Russians were certified subs. They were reviewed. They were inspected every year. They were taken apart every 5 years, nut and bolt, and gone through completely again, including the pressure hull. So, which is the key to your survival. Yeah. In 2000 is when I'd made my own Titanic dive, and I saw Dr. Mike Gillian, again, a shipmate and a friend on with Pierce Morgan, talking about the time he got stuck under the propeller. Now, I was in the other mirror when that happened.
Right.
So,
I mean, I think, I've got to be honest with you, I think you're all insane. I genuinely, I would just not put my life at risk like this. Why?
well,
What is the urge? I understand the urge to go into space. I get that. I'm a scuba diver. I've been inside wrecks.
Yes.
40 meters is my limit. I'm not even sure the insurance covered that.
I consider...
what is the appeal of going
I actually consider scuba diving to be more dangerous than what we were doing, to tell you the truth.
That's interesting.
Because there's a lot more, accidents you see there. Though I think anything you can do to get into the ocean to appreciate it is important. Because to love the ocean is to want to protect it. To protect the ocean is to protect our entire planet.
Okay. But what is the appeal of going down to these
I have
wrecks?
I have to tell you, it is like going to another planet. Unless you're claustrophobic, the mirrors are a sphere 2 meters in diameter, and you're putting 3 people in that. I describe it as being 3 people in the front of a Volkswagen Bug, basically.
Yeah.
So, however, the Russians will enrich the oxygen a little bit, so you feel very good. So you're a little bit better than the air mixture. And when you lose light at 600 feet, a couple hundred meters, light is gone. To save battery, we would darken everything. You're looking out your viewports, and you're not seeing blackness. You're seeing a night sky, because the bioluminescent creatures are moving around, and total mystery.
Yeah.
When you get to the bottom and you turn your lights on, you will see things you can't imagine. I saw an invertebrate swim by our viewport that looked like a dinner plate, and when it turned sideways, it was narrow. But when you looked at it, it was transparent, except for its internal organs.
It is.
What was that?
Yeah, it's basically an alien world. We sent more people to the moon
alien world
than we have to this level of the Atlantic. Look, let's talk about the chances of actually getting these men out alive. Look, if hope against hope, for some reason, there is still someone still aboard who is alive on that sub after 12 midday today UK time. There's a French ship that arrived overnight about 9 hours ago, the Atalante, carrying the Victor 6000. Now, this is a vehicle, one of the very few vehicles in the world, certainly the only one in that near vicinity capable of reaching depths where we could look at where, it can go to 20,000 feet. And the idea is that if they can find the sub, they can send this remote operated vehicle down, and it's got the capability to latch on a cable somewhere and bring the sub to the surface. At that point, you've got to get them out of the sub. 17 nuts and bolts, and to be taken off to remove this sub hatch. I mean, it's a long-winded procedure. Do you have hopes that if these men can be found, that they can be brought to the surface quickly enough by this sort of vehicle, by this sort of operation?
There are 2 parts to it. One is to be able to locate them, and the second, as you mentioned, to be able to connect and bring them up. Certainly that equipment exists in the world. The problem is none of it has been very close by.
Yeah.
So when we were driving twin mirrors, one mirror had the ability to take a cable down to the other mirror if necessary. But the problem is, in my mind, and I'm not familiar with all of the assets that are in the area right now, the problem is that you first need, probably most effective would be an AUV, autonomous underwater vehicle with sonar, something that can sweep the floor probably 100 meters from the bottom and locate the wreckage and locate the Ocean Gate submersible. Yeah, that's part one. I don't even know if there's one of those in the area. Yeah, and at that level of sophistication, a 4,000 meter capable AUV. Then second, they can give very accurate coordinates for where that is, which then you're dropping an ROV. But thinking of the ROV that's on that is tethered, the remotely operated robot that is tethered from the ship, you're dangling something 2 miles down. Yeah. Any current, anything is going to affect that. So it has to be able to reacquire the target itself. They have onboard sonar, short range, usually about 1,000 meters. But they have to reacquire, attach. It all can be done, but to do it quickly and at this point in time, again, it's a very heartbreaking and bleak proposition. It
really is. Guy Zajonc, really appreciate you talking to us. Deep Ocean Project Manager of Historic and Treasure Shipwrecks, been to the Titanic himself back in the year 2000. Thank you so much indeed.